Hello and welcome. You're listening to the Orange and Blue Shirt podcast. This is a podcast about the orange and blue of the New York Mets and the blue shirts on Broadway, the New York Rangers. I'm your host, Luke. You can find me on Twitter at LukesPod. That's at LUKESPOD. Subscribe to my YouTube channel. Follow my podcast wherever you're listening, whether that be Anchor, Spotify, wherever. You can find me by searching the Orange and Blue Shirt podcast. On today's episode, we'll talk about on the Mets side of things, we'll talk about the signings of Taijuan Walker and Kevin Pillar. And later in the episode, on the Rangers side of things, we'll talk about the Rangers finally playing better against the Flyers and the Caps, picking up 2 Ws, and of course, the Putin-Panarin situation. So, take that as you will. But first, we gotta talk about the Mets. So, over the past week, the Mets have made one almost suspected move in Walker, and one that had me quite puzzled in Kevin Pillar. The reason I was puzzled is that I thought the Mets were done in center field. Getting Almora, I thought him and Nimmo would provide healthy competition for each other. Almora, would start as a bench piece and a defensive substitution, and eventually over time he would start fighting for a starting role with Nimmo. But when Pillar signed, I thought, well, Almora has a minors option. He'll be in AAA, but I remembered then the Mets already have that covered with Malik Smith, so I don't know what's going to happen there with Almora. Pillar's $5 million contract with an option is on paper. It sounds like starting center field money. That's because it is. But unfortunately, he's not. He's going to skip the bench piece step, though, that Pillar would have to go through. That Almora would have to go through and go straight into whichever one plays better starts role with Nimmo. I'm not saying he doesn't deserve to start, because he does. His defense is way better than Nimmo's, but his offense, it did improve with Boston, but it's still not the stuff with Nimmo's. But the center field spot's taken, This does not upgrade center field on the lineup card, but it does upgrade center field on the depth chart, which is what's needed to build a championship team. So I like this signing. It's another great move by Steve Cohen, Sandy Alderson regime. So speaking of good signings by this regime, a Twitter favorite of mine, Taijuan Walker, the right-handed starter, was signed to a 2-year deal with an option, $20 million guaranteed. A bit of an overpay, but hey, unless Steve Cohen himself is listening, which I doubt he is, it's not our money. We have a lot of it in abundance. While yes, I hope the Mets don't overpay for every player when we have a hole like the 5th starter was. I don't mind a little overpay to get the guy, And Walker most definitely is the guy that filled the hole. Walker, when healthy, is a 3 ERA kind of guy who's amazing to have in the number 5 spot in the Mets rotation. We saw what he was capable of in 2020, pitching 53 innings with a 2.70 ERA. So if he pitches anywhere close to that, I'm game, Good signing. Now, it's not a long-term contract that will hold us down, pull us back for years. So even if it does backfire and explode in our faces, we won't be broke or pushing the luxury tax to get by. So all in all, these 2 signings both get around a B+, A- grade. So, which is also, by the way, what I would give the whole offseason grade, around a A. I think a solid A. Shout out to the Scooter and Big Ben pod for sending in that question. So yeah, 1 to 10, I would probably say, if it's an A, I would probably say 8.5, 9. No, I would say 9. It's probably the best offseason I've seen in my lifetime. So, yeah. So, overall, good move by Zach Scott and Sandy. Alright, now into the New York Rangers. First of all, let's address the elephant in the room. Mika Zibanejad Artemi Panarin taking a, quote, leave of absence. And to be honest, it's bullshit. It's complete and utter bullshit. It's almost certainly lies made up by the Russian government to stop Panarin rightfully speaking out about Vladimir Putin and showing his support for the poisoned opposition leader. if you can even call them that, because Russia's a dictatorship almost. I don't want to dwell on that for too long. There's nothing we can do to stop it. I hope Artemi and his family stay safe. And from a fan's perspective, I hope that he returns to the lineup as soon as possible. So on to a more positive note, the Rangers finally won a game. 2, in fact. First, a shootout win against the Flyers with goals from the absolute GOAT that is Colin Blackwell, as well as one from Brendan Smith. 2 pretty good goals. The Blackwell goal is really good, actually. But the highlight of that night was Capo Caco. Not only did he score the winning shootout goal, but he's been on fire recently. Of course, he was out on COVID protocol, but before that, he was playing well. And with him playing like this with Laffy, with his confidence right now, just leave them there for 15 years. Let them simmer, let them do their thing. So I'm excited to watch that for hopefully a long time to come. The next game and win was against the Caps, which honestly is probably my favorite game of the year so far. Laffy got his second of his career with a good little move and finish for his goal. Booch and Panarin got two assists each. Strome got a goal and an assist. Potato played well, which is becoming like a norm. The New York native is amazing. Shesterkin played great, making 26 saves. But yeah, the biggest reaction of the night, probably the biggest reaction of the season besides Laffy's first goal from me. Finally, Mika scored. I don't care that it was an empty netter. He scored. Let's go. Hopefully it's a sign of things to come, because now without Panarin, he's going to need to step it up big time. But if the Rangers keep playing like this way, hopefully they can jump and stay away from this Panarin loss and win a few more games on the bounce. So anyway, give this video or podcast a like and subscribe if you're listening to this on YouTube. If you're listening anywhere else, follow my podcast or subscribe to it. Share it with your friends. Give me feedback and follow me on Twitter at LukesPod. I'm working on getting a group of Mets fans to record an episode talking about the lineup, going over the lineup and making predictions for each player and each position. So you have that to look forward to. Anyways, I've been your host Luke of the Orange and Blue Shirt podcast, and I'll see you in the next one.